Hey everyone, Steve here. Stay tuned to the end of the podcast to check out our song Your Personal Brand is Who You Pretend to Be, taken from our live double bootleg album, Live, Laugh, Love the Alliterates, 2022 to 2024. Check it out on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, Deezer, and more.
They did 4 solo records all at the same time.
Yeah.
And Sean and David did not like that album.
Is that Ace? I don't know. They're making it well enough.
Yeah, it's Ace.
And apparently that's the best one, so
I'm not a massive Kiss guy, which is funny because I like theatric bullshit.
I don't like Kiss either.
You know, it's
Sean
just,
especially
something about it is so off-putting to me.
Oh yeah, no, like in the episode we talk about, like it's like if you're gonna present yourselves as evil, don't sound like a third-rate cheap trick knockoff.
It's really strange, yeah.
I got into them like when I was a teenager, and I think
That's the time.
Yeah. And I think they were really helpful as like an early guitar player because you know I couldn't play along to Megadeth or anything.
Right.
So, yeah, and these days like them being cheesy and over the top is part of the appeal.
Sure.
For me, and it's funny because when I posted the episode in the Kiss thing, we got bitched at by a bunch of Kiss fans who got mad at us, like including me, who was complimentary of it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't complimentary in the way they liked because I didn't take it seriously. And so we're like, can you imagine being a person that takes Kiss seriously?
Yeah.
Like I even had Kiss fans in that thread like say, oh wow, some people don't realize how corny their favorite band is or something like that. As much as I like Kiss, I mean, come on, guys.
That's part of the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, and then you had people like saying it's a badass metal record. It's like, have you ever listened to Slayer?
There's like badass is not the word I would use for that record.
Right.
Metal is not the word I would use for that record.
I suppose in '79 it would have made sense, but I mean, I don't know. I would have went for Blue Oyster Cult before I went for
I think a lot of ideas about the way bands sound is so rooted in their like visual culture. So, so Kiss looks badass, therefore their music is badass, and then you hear like a song and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is bubblegum glam, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of my first experience with a lot of bands that were considered badass in the '70s. Like first time I heard Alice Cooper, I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Totally. Oh my god.
And I love Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Cooper's music anyway, not necessarily him anymore. Anyway.
Sonically completely unrelated, but the first time I listened to the Grateful Dead, I was like, I was not expecting like you know what I mean? I was like, I was expecting like freaky shit.
Yeah.
And it just did not happen.
I think I was probably expecting something more akin to like Hendrix or something.
Yeah.
And whatever I put on sounded like country rock. So
Yeah. To me, Grateful Dead just sounds like the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I prefer the song version of Grateful Dead, but when they stretch out and they're like doing the acid jams, it's still just like a lot of like. And I'm like, oh, this is not freaky.
Yeah, this is just 40 minutes of.
I don't think I've tried to listen to because back then I was expecting hard rock, so I wonder how I react to Grateful Dead today. I'll have to do 7 grams of mushrooms again and try it.
I was gonna say, I feel like if you were nice and high, the Rubadoob would be like, oh.
Yeah. Like the thing is, like, I don't understand following a band to watch them play the same set every night for like a year.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'll say about Metallica is they change their set every single night.
That's
cool.
cool.
So if you were that kind of person, like it would be worth following them.
Yeah. Like I'm sure if you were following Metallica like the Dead, you would eventually get sick of the handful of songs that they have to play every show. But it would be cool. Like, oh, here's Master of Puppets again. Okay.
I was gonna say I still love Master of Puppets, but I could go without hearing Enter Sandman again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I've heard that one enough because I got the first 4 Metallica records. I don't know if I'll buy the Black Album unless it's like a good price because
it's the least good of the good Metallica albums, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. But I also listened to it a ton when I first got it, so I think that's one of those albums where it sounds great the first time you hear it, and then as time goes on, you're like, oh, they got way better stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got much better stuff.
Yeah.
But it's the first one most people hear too, though.
Yeah, would probably be a good place to start with Metallica for anybody who's not familiar with them.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Although that's kind of weird in itself. Like, I don't understand why Metallica gets the mainstream success they do.
They don't sound like a band that should.
Yeah. It kind of defies all, logic. Even when they went more mainstream, you know?
Yeah. All right. We ready? Or...
Now we're ready.
Hell
right.
yeah.
Hello, and welcome to Side 1, Side B with Dave and Steve. I'm Dave.
And I'm Steve.
And we have a guest with us today. Say hi, Colby.
Hello, I'm Colby.
All right, so I know Colby knows a lot about this artist, so I'm just going to ask Steve. Steve, what do you know about David Bowie?
David Bowie is an artist that I know a lot about. Haven't listened to nearly enough of his music because, well, I don't know why. I think he's one of those artists that has so much stuff that he's kind of a hard place to find an entry point. And so I think that's why I've never really tried. But I've heard a lot of Bowie stuff over the years. My friend Amanda showed me his last album, which I thought was incredible. I've heard him sing with David Gilmour. I've seen a show here in town where they combined Bowie music with classical instrumentation, and that was really cool. So, yeah, somebody that I've observed from afar and need to get more into.
Yeah. And Colby, what's your history with Bowie?
In my intentional music fandom continuum, I was a late adopter, but I fell pretty hard when I was in high school. Growing up, I was familiar with sort of the classic rock hits, which is like Changes, Fame, because of the John Lennon connection, I always figured.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. And then in high school, I got a cassette version with a different track list of what we're going to listen to today, and that opened the doors.
Nice.
Is this one of those records that had a different track listing depending on the region?
No. So what we're going to listen to today is Changes 1 Bowie, which was a compilation he put out in 1976, which was after a string of some of his greatest albums, but I still think his best work was still ahead of him at this point. But this is a really good career retrospective to this point. It omits any tracks from two particular albums. One for good reason, which was his very first record, which he pretended didn't exist, and the lead single was called The Laughing No. No one talks about it.
Someday we're going to talk about it.
And then it also, unfortunately, it omits tracks from, depending on how you count it, his second or his third album, The Man Who Sold the World, which I don't know what I would move around to make room for tracks from that, but there are some great tracks on that that could have worked on here. But
is this like a greatest hits compilation, or is this just a compilation? I know there's a kind of a...
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
There are... The thing about this record is, his first big hit is on there as his first track. Then there's a non-album single. And then there's a bunch of tracks that were not released as a single because the Ziggy Stardust album wasn't really a singles album. And then side 2 is kind of a greatest hits from his post-Ziggy era.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a really interesting compilation that has a perfect flow to it. It flows like a real album.
Oh, okay.
But it's over the course of from 1969 to 1976.
So in addition to the hits, we get some deeper cuts too as well.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And an interesting thing about this is it was because of this record that he ended up releasing Suffragette City off the Ziggy Stardust album as a single to promote this compilation.
Mm-hmm.
So this ended up making the Ziggy Stardust album more of a hits album than it was previously. Like, it was his most well-known album, but it was a concept album that the label didn't know how to promote. So, like, the song Starman, which was the big single off of it, which is not on here, but that was the big single with the iconic Top of the Pops performance, but it's just, not on this album at all.
Interesting. And this isn't the first compilation we've listened to on here, but this is, I think, the first compilation we've listened to where it's going to be the same artist on each track, so that'll be neat.
Yeah. I'm going to pass this over and tell me what you think of the art.
Okay, so on the front, we got the title of the album, Changes 1 Bowie. The 1 is in red, and the changes in Bowie are in black. And there is a picture of the man himself looking contemplative. Kind of reminds me of something. If I didn't know this was David Bowie, I could see me mistaking this for something that came out in the 50s, maybe, based on his like hairstyle. 50s or 60s, maybe. But, then we turn it around. All the titles are in red. Released by RCA Records. Or no, RCA is the format. Released by Main Man Records in 1976. Then we got 11 tracks. Space Odyssey, John, I'm Only Dancing, Changes, Ziggy Stardust, Suffragette City. It's kind of throwing me off how they're all like mashed together. Mm-hmm. And a number of other songs.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. One thing that I think is weird about this is it doesn't break up the back into side 1, side 2. But the last track of side 1 is Gene Genie. So like the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, with them all crammed together like this, it's like, okay, I can keep going after that. Diamond Dogs, Rebel, Young Americans, Fame, and Golden Years.
Yeah, and like the way it's broken up too is like the first side is his psychedelic acoustic folk space song, and then the rest of it is all like the glam era, and then side 2 is when he started experimenting a little more with like Philly soul type stuff.
So yeah, out of what I'm familiar with Space Odyssey, Rebel, and Young Americans, I think. So, and I'm probably familiar with Ziggy Stardust. I'm just having a hard time picturing it right now. So,
Guitar Hero soundtrack.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm sure I've heard it a million times. So, well, yeah, I'm looking forward to sitting down and listening to this and us gabbing about it afterwards.
Yeah, my history with Bowie is when I got really into buying CDs in like my teens and 20s, is he was an easy one to go for because all of his stuff was being re-released on CD around that time. And so like I started with Hunky Dory, which was the album with the song Changes on it, which was early in his glam years, but was more of his, like acoustic piano type glam era before he went into the hard rock of Ziggy Stardust. And then I got really big into his like late 70s stuff, which this stops before like Low and Heroes and stuff like that. And then I just kind of started filling in the gaps from there. I have everything that he put out in the 70s at this point on CD. So when I was kind of filling in my vinyl collection right before vinyl got really expensive, I was like, do I want to just rebuy all these albums I already have, or do I want to start going for some of these compilations? And I got the compilations. I decided to go for a different route, like a different track order. Plus, like with the albums just in their completeness on CD, you didn't get some of the non-album singles like John, I'm Only Dancing. So that was a fun gap that I bought an entire LP to fill. But I think it was worth it.
Yeah, when I started collecting vinyl back in the early 2000s, a lot of times one of the first things I would go for is the compilation. I think the first Sabbath record I bought was We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll, just because it was a really good 2-record set that included most of their big songs up to that point. So, and I would probably even recommend that today as a vinyl collector. If there's an artist you want to check out, a good compilation is not only still cheap generally, I'd say, and a good way to get into an artist.
Yeah. But yeah, we will get this started now. This is going to be side one of Changes One Bowie.
We're going through Changes. Oh wait, that's Sabbath.
Hello?
Sean, old buddy, how's it going?
Steve, I'm gonna have to call you back. I'm polishing my rods.
Well, I'll definitely have to let you get back to that. But first, I just wanted to let you know that our band, The Alliterates, has a new release out called Live, Laugh, Love. The Alliterates, 2022 to 2024. Now available on Bandcamp.
Okay, love ya. Bye.
And we're going.
All right, and welcome back. That was side one of Changes One Bowie. What'd you fellas think?
Well, I'll start by saying that the first side flowed very well, I'd say. It definitely felt like an album, and it would be easy to mistake it for something that was intentionally written that way rather than a compilation of songs. I never felt like anything was out of place with each other, and even though each song had a different vibe, they all worked together, I'd say.
Yeah, the flow is great. It's interesting that it's almost in chronological order. John, I'm Only Dancing is kind of slotted in there as an energy boost, I feel like.
Yeah, because
that's a later tune
Yeah.
than Changes.
yeah,
but it works.
Yeah, I think it's put there because they didn't want to have like it open with two slower
Right.
songs with Space Oddity and Changes.
Yes.
Yeah, that would have been a little lopsided.
Yeah, it's I think it's a fantastic record, and the flow of it's really good. The Ziggy Stardust Suffragette City 1-2 is on the same order on the Ziggy Stardust album.
Exactly.
Although it's like near the end of side 2 also. So like these are the best, in my opinion, the best 4 songs on the Ziggy Stardust album are the last 4 with Hang On To Yourself, Ziggy Stardust, Suffragette City, and Rock and Roll Suicide, just like closing out the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that album right now. We're talking about this one. But yeah, this was just this is like one of the best ways you could possibly do a compilation, in my opinion. You had the big hit, you had the non-album single, you had the song that should have been a big hit, you had the album tracks on the big hit album that didn't have like strong singles, and then you had a strong single from the following album, which was the last one that had the lineup that was featured on tracks 2 through 6 on this one. Like Space Oddity was mainly session musicians, and then his whole glam era. So Man Who Sold the World through Aladdin Sane was all the same backing band, which was at the time of the Ziggy Stardust album, they called them the Spiders from Mars, but they weren't called that until the Ziggy Stardust album, so they'd recorded 2 whole albums as a backing band without having a formal name. But it was Trevor Boulder on bass, Mick Woodmansey on drums, and my favorite use of a Les Paul ever by Mick Ronson.
Yeah, side 1 of this compilation feels like a Mick Ronson showpiece to me.
Yeah.
And you'll feel a big change in energy on side 2 when you don't have Ronson just ripping licks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I noted here. We'll get more into when we go track by track, but the crunchy guitar on these songs was just, fabulous. I really liked it.
Yeah. And, like, I've read a lot of books by, like, the 70s punk scene and how they're trying to move past everything before them. They loved Bowie, and they especially liked Ronson's guitar playing.
Yeah. Stooges, Bowie, it's Chuck Berry licks, but played with a treble booster, so it sounds just ridiculous. It's just like, in your face, you know?
I almost feel like Bowie's one of those artists that just transcends time, more or less. Like his music makes sense almost in any era.
Yeah. But yeah, going through track by track, Space Oddity. Classic.
Yeah, that one's a classic. I mean, I've heard it a million times because it's, just through cultural osmosis. It's been used in a lot of film, been used in a lot of media, and yeah, I've heard this one a lot.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
It is the one that I feel fits the least
Yes.
on here. But that's also because it's like there's a whole album between it and Changes, and it's all session musicians, not the same backup band. It's kind of a different subject matter, even though like all the songs don't have the exact same subject matter. It feels like it was written by a different person. It's less confident than the later songs, I feel like, too.
Yeah, I love this tune, but it is a total novelty. It seems like a pretty shameless attempt to cash in on moon landing fever to me.
Yeah.
To the point that they actually negotiated this being played in the background of the BBC coverage of the moon landing, which is wild promotion, and was a massive hit, but a total novelty at the same time.
Bowie was at a real risk of becoming a one-hit wonder with this one, because the album that it was on, there were no other hits on it. There's some good songs on it, but it's not. This is the strongest song on that album too, and it's track 1.
Yeah.
And it was the big hit single, and so like there were probably a lot of people at that point who bought the record, listened to that track, and then took the needle off and put on something else.
I enjoy that self-titled record, but it feels like a cash-in for the big hit single, It's like, we have to record some tracks.
Yeah. Like, my favorite track on that is Memory of a Free Festival.
Yes, same.
And I would have been upset if they had put that on here
It's
over
not a hit.
some other songs. Yeah.
From my perspective, I felt like it opened the album really well, and to me, it didn't feel out of place. So that's my observation.
It does have a great fade in, which is a great album opener trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I shout out to the stylophone. More songs should use the stylophone. I love that buzzy little toy that can be used as a real instrument if you're careful.
I've seen some crazy stylophone stuff on YouTube. Anything can be an instrument if you put your mind to it.
Yeah. Next track, John, I'm Only Dancing. This was a non-album single that came out around the Ziggy Stardust era, since that album didn't have a lot of singles on it, being a concept album, and the record not knowing what to do with tracks that ended up working as singles, like Suffragette City years later. But yeah, it's a good song. It's a direct reference to Bowie being out and bisexual at this point. It's about a guy who's dancing, having fun with men and women. There is a rumor, this hasn't been officially confirmed, and it's been officially denied by a few people, that this song is about John Lennon making some homophobic remarks about Bowie when he came out, and Bowie just kind of clapping back, John, I'm only dancing. I don't know if this is true. I would like to think it's true because of how Bowie and Lennon ended up burying the hatchet on the next side. But yeah, that's what I've heard about it.
It's funny you mentioned that because in my notes I put it. This song reminds me of especially the early days Beatles.
Yeah. Yeah, like fun. It's like fun guitar power pop.
Yeah.
I like it that it's on here, since it was not on the albums, and the albums is how most people consume Bowie, because he's more of an albums artist than a singles artist a lot of the time. And so this was just a great way to kind of save this track from obscurity.
Yeah, for me, I really like the saxophone playing on it. I think sax playing is really cool. So when I heard it, I was like, neat.
Yeah, Bowie did the sax in the studio, but then would hire someone to do it live so he could sing at the same time.
Yeah.
Next track, Changes.
Did you know Rick Wakeman played on that track?
He also played on Space Oddity. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That one had some great piano playing, great atmosphere, great lyrics, great singing. It's a great song.
Yeah. I like it. When I first heard Hunky Dory when I was a teenager, a friend of mine was like, man, you gotta listen to this album. It's about the X-Men. It opens with Changes.
Yeah.
Then there's another song which couldn't be about the X-Men. But then track 3 is "Oh You Pretty Things," which has the line, "You gotta make way for the Homo Superior." And so by then you fill everything out in your mind to be about the X-Men. So like Life on Mars is about how Magneto wants to start a colony in space for mutants to live undisturbed by humans and stuff like that. And Queen Bitch becomes about the Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine love triangle, and the whole album just becomes about the X-Men if you mention it.
Wait, so how is track 2 not about the X-Men then?
What is it? Is it "Oh You Pretty Things"?
No, that's track 3. It's it's like 3-line poem, I think is what it's called. Okay. I don't even remember the lyrics, and I've listened to that album a million times. It's the least memorable track on the whole album, but yeah.
Changes is a great opener.
Yeah.
Love it as an opener. It's interesting to me that Life on Mars is not on this collection, and I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I love Life on Mars. I don't know how I would fit it onto this collection, because we already have like this song. Like, if you can't have Life on Mars with this number of songs with both Space Oddity and Changes, because it slows things down too much.
And I think Changes, it's not a rocker in the way that the really big glam tunes on this side are, but Changes is more of a rocker than Life on Mars, which is very dramatic, very theatrical.
Yeah.
One of my favorite all-time Bowie songs, but does not feel like that's what they were trying to frame him as on this compilation. This is a very, like, listen to this rock and roller kind of compilation to me.
Yeah.
Do you think that Elon Musk sits in his SpaceX office and jerks off to Life on Mars while listening to it on repeat over and over again?
I hate that you made me think of that.
I think he does, even though some of the lyrics in Life on Mars could probably be seen as being critical of people like Musk. We'll do something that has Life on Mars on it in the future to talk about that. But yeah.
Do you think that man has enough self-awareness to realize that he's being criticized in a song?
No. But Changes though, great song. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love like the slow piano moments in the verses, and then just like the crunchy guitar comes in the chorus and just kind of picks it up, and then how it just kind of goes back and forth. Like, there's a reason why, like, 80s alternative bands like the Pixies were big into Bowie, because he did the quiet, loud, quiet thing back in the day. Next track, Ziggy Stardust.
First note that I made is I really like the crunchy guitar playing, and I like how the hard rock energy kicked in at that point. I thought that was a good place in the album for that to happen.
Ziggy Stardust, it's one of my go-tos for karaoke. Great song. I like the point when I realized that I just knew all the lyrics off the top of my head is that at some point in college I went to a friend's cover band that were doing the entire Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars album, and when they got to that, I was like standing in the front and I was like, oh, I'm just singing along, like right now, just not missing a beat, singing along. It's a good song. I like it. It's slower than the 2 tracks that follow it, but it's like much more. It's an escalation in energy though from Changes, so putting it in this order kind of makes sense. It's like start with a slow song, pick things up a little bit, slow things down again, and then just ramp up the energy through the end at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely had a good dynamic on how they arranged the songs on this.
Any more thoughts on Ziggy?
Just that this is, for me, where the Ronson showcase really kicks off. These next 3 tracks are such a perfect encapsulation of that glam guitar sound. Treble booster, Les Paul, big loud amp. You've got a lot of great harmonic work, which is a very big Mick Ronson calling card in my mind. That's on both of the tunes that are pulled from the Ziggy Stardust album. Awesome. Slow, heavy. It's great.
Yeah. Suffragette City, another one of my go-tos for karaoke, even more than Ziggy Stardust because it's faster. It's a song that is easy enough to sing that you can sing it when you've had a couple drinks, which is another reason why it's more of my go-to for karaoke. It's more of a late in the night one for me. Yeah, I like it. I like the gang vocals. The "Hey man."
Yep.
I like the "Wham bam, thank you ma'am" near the end. The guitar playing on it is perfect.
Yeah, my notes were pretty much the same about like the guitar work. You know, it more crunchy guitar and more hard rock energy, and the ending just fucking rocked.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that subtle little synthesizer work. The brrr.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is, depending on the day, my favorite track on the Ziggy Stardust record. It's so propulsive. It just drives you along. And I think you mentioned this, Dave, but I love that it's just the 1-2 punch from side 2 of the Ziggy Stardust album. Those are the exact same track order on that record. And to hear one, you almost have to hear the other, I feel.
Yeah.
And they copy that here on the comp.
Yeah. And then closing this side out, the only track off of Aladdin Sane, which was the last album he did with the Spiders from Mars, Genie.
That one I thought had a really cool bluesy vibe, great stomper, and I thought it was a good pick to close the side with.
Yeah.
Now, I thought this one stuck out the most rather than Space Odyssey, but that said, I still think it fit. But I for some reason, I felt like there was a slightly different vibe to this one compared to especially the 2 tracks that preceded it.
I think it's the blues influence that you're hearing, you know, because it's almost like, I mean, nobody owns this riff. I think there was a Sweet song that came out the same year that is the exact same riff. It's just, you know, this is one of the riffs, right? And it feels like it's in the cosmos, and like nobody owns dun 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 dun. It just is.
Yeah.
And I love the little, like, little tremolo. Yeah. And then also with with the rattlesnake type rattle, and
that's part of the reason why I think it's funny when people get all caught up on who owns like a song or a riff or something. And it's like there's only so many notes and so many combinations that you can do. Like you're gonna end up coming up with the same combinations. Even there's a Megaton song where I accidentally copied a Slayer riff. Very familiar with Slayer. Did not realize I copied a Slayer riff until Mario pointed it out. So it's just something that happens, and I don't know. I hate it when it becomes like a big court thing, but at the same time, we're capitalists, so.
Well, there's that time when you wrote a song for your solo album, and I brought into practice a song for the Alliterates that was left over from my old band Gong Farmer that we never recorded, and we realized that we had independently come up with the same riff.
Yeah, it can even happen with somebody that you collaborate with frequently. So,
one thing that you said while we were listening to it is Genie kind of reminded you of Lou Reed, which
it
does. It's like one thing like after Ziggy Stardust became a huge thing. Bowie wanted to make sure that one of his heroes was getting the respect he deserved, which was Lou Reed. And so he and Mick Ronson produced Lou Reed's Transformer album, which is the one with the big hits on it, Take a Walk on the Wild Side, Perfect Day, Satellite of Love, Vicious. Like, if you know any Lou Reed solo songs, you know this record, basically.
Wasn't it Bowie that said that he thought that the Lou Reed Metallica collaboration was misunderstood and like one of the best things ever?
Yeah, Bowie died convinced that people would change their minds about Lulu.
And I'm curious when we all sit down to listen to that someday, what we're going to say about it, because you and I had listened to the closing track on that, and we both determined that the closing track on that album actually earned its runtime and was a legit good song. So there might be something to that.
Yeah, I'm interested in revisiting it. But yeah, this era of Bowie, especially like the Ziggy Stardust era, he was kind of trying to collaborate. He was trying to not collaborate. He was trying to combine his 3 favorite acts at the time and their self-destructive frontmen to some degree, which would be early Pink Floyd with Syd Barrett, the Velvet Underground with Lou Reed, and the Stooges with Iggy Pop.
Oh yeah,
Ziggy is even kind of a reference to Iggy Pop, and so like this is also probably why when punk started being a thing and wanting to throw out everything before then, they kind of kept Bowie to some degree.
Sometimes in my head I kind of view like David Bowie and Iggy Pop as like that episode of Star Trek where Captain Kirk got separated into good and evil.
Yeah. What's funny is like the period immediately after this album was when Bowie toured as just like the keyboard player in Iggy's band and helped him write 2 of his best albums.
I did not know that.
As like a side musician though, like not as like the band leader or anything, just kind of in the background.
That's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I love the Gene Genie. To me, this is his most Rolling Stones adjacent song, which is funny because he famously covered Rolling Stones on Aladdin Sane.
Yeah.
But this one, I mean, just feels like a kind of 65-era Stones tune, but with like Lou Reed singing instead.
Yeah, I think Syd Barrett, Iggy Pop, and Lou Reed combined together, I think, is a good way to describe what we've heard on this side.
It's kind of funny that out of all of those people, Iggy Pop is the one that's still alive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of when Ronnie James Dio died. Like apparently Ozzy was just like incredibly disturbed by it, and you have to imagine Ozzy's probably surprised that he outlived Dio.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting too that this is the Aladdin Sane tune represented on the compilation.
Yeah.
This track came out in '72, months and months before Aladdin Sane would come out in '73. Big hit.
Yeah.
And then was included later the next year on that record, but doesn't really feel like a lot of the rest of the record. The rest of the record is a little more experimental.
Yeah.
There's that crazy piano freak out on the title track.
Yeah.
Drive-In Saturday, which is kind of the other hit on that record, is a little stranger.
Yeah, a little kind of doo-wop-y.
Yes. Yeah. So this feels very much like, again, presenting Bowie as just a straight-ahead, like, you want to rock out with some glam, like put your boots on and go to the club. This is what you want.
Yeah.
You want some Bowie.
Yeah. I think my favorite track on Aladdin Sane might be Time.
So good.
Which, would not fit on this record.
It's not a pop song in any way. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was side 1. Side 2 is things take an interesting turn. The first 2 tracks are kind of glam, but they're a very different flavor of glam. Like kind of more darker and nihilistic, and they also feature Bowie without a strong backing band anymore, so he's playing lead guitar on those 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you have him moving into his kind of Philly soul era, in which he starts to assemble a new backing band, several members of which he worked with up till the end of his life. Mm-hmm. And then the last track you have from his excellent yet controversial Station to Station album, which we will get on about after we listen to.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing this side.
Hello? Steve, the restraining order.
Oh, that expired last week. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know, we have a new live release out called Live, Laugh, Love, The Alliterates, 2022 to 2024, now on our Bandcamp page, thealliterates.bandcamp.com. Go check it out.
Okay. I need to call my lawyer. Bye.
It is funny that you revived the New Order subreddit and then got permabanned from Reddit for it.
Well, Dave, you're in charge of our Reddit now. Take good care.
I'm not going to do anything.
At least post our stuff there.
Okay, so this was side 2 of Changes 1 Bowie. What'd you guys think?
As I said while the last song was closing out, I really liked this side as much as the other side, just for completely different reasons. I enjoyed I didn't really enjoy the vibe shift, and we'll get more into this as we talk about it. I also would have liked a slight ordering change on this one, but otherwise the blend of stadium rock, art rock and funk was just absolutely fabulous, I'd say. And Rebel Rebel being a song I was most familiar with, kind of ended up sticking out like a sore thumb on this side, even though, it's one of his better songs.
Yeah, it is his song from that era that most sounds like what came before. So that makes it kind of feel odd on this side.
Yeah, when it shifted between Diamond Dogs to Rebel Rebel and then to Young Americans, I remember I was looking down and I looked up and went, wow, that was a bit of a gear shift there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The change to that soulful, there's a little bit of gospel in there on Young Americans is very sudden. I think the thing that ties this side together sonically for me is there's a little more space in the mix, which I think has to be a credit to Tony Visconti. Who starts working with Bowie again on the Diamond Dogs record and basically is his guy till he dies.
Yeah, basically.
And he does have a little sound change. There's a little more space in the mix, like I said, and obviously you've got Ronson gone on this side, so when they're vamping, there's not a big, massive solo for 32 bars, right? It's something else.
Yeah, I noticed the production, particularly Young Americans Forward, was vastly different.
Yeah.
And I would say cleaner than anything we heard on
Super
side
clean.
one. Diamond Dogs, I thought was a live song when we started out, and it has that like big boomy, like live album vibe, and kind of really reminded me of like a stadium rock album.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I got the Molly Hatchet live record sitting over there. I could see that song kind of fitting in with that vibe.
So yeah, Diamond Dogs and Rebel Rebel are both off the Diamond Dogs album, which was originally planned to be a concept album about 1984, but Orwell's estate said no, and so it became kind of just like this kind of hodgepodge of songs, including one called 1984, which was not about the book 1984 because that wasn't approved.
Wink.
Wink. But the songs don't fit together to tell a story about 1984 anymore, which is fine because there's too many rock songs about 1984. The best thing that could have happened to rock music was right-wingers taking 1984 as their own thing, because that means we don't have to fucking hear about 1984 in any more goddamn rock songs.
I think 1984 had a very big, giant impact on my my political leanings, but it was also one of the first dystopian novels I've ever encountered, and I have encountered much better stories since.
No, like, the book is fine.
Oh, I love George Orwell,
Yeah. It's just, I am so tired of rock songs about 1984, and I'm glad that we don't have them anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's kind of like when we were talking earlier about Metallica's Black Album. It's a fine album. I've heard it too many times. I could go without ever hearing it again. Kind of the same with 1984. Like, it's gotten to the point that, like, if somebody comes up and talks to me about 1984, I'm like, uh-oh,
yeah. I'm gonna start hearing about why mask mandates are Big Brother.
I'm curious what you guys prefer of the two kind of glam sounds, because on the Diamond Dogs tracks, the guitars are a lot more echoey, which is cool, and I think he was probably a little self-conscious about his chops as a guitar player. It's still very glammy, still very rocking, but it's different.
Yeah. I think as a whole, I like the Mick Ronson stuff more, but I love Diamond Dogs. It's one of my favorite Bowie albums, despite me shitting on too many songs being about 1984. But it's an amazing record. There's it's his, like, the guitar playing is the most punky Bowie ever sounded, mainly because he wasn't, like, completely confident with it, so it's less technical than what came before it, which I kind of like. There's kind of like a weird emotional vulnerability to, like, his playing. Like, it doesn't have the confidence of the Spiders from Mars era, which is endearing in a way.
Yeah.
And I think a song like Rebel Rebel, where he is singing less on key than he normally is too, really adds to that feeling. Just kind of like the desperate sense of yearning, the kind of nihilistic, everything's falling apart around me feeling. And I don't think Diamond Dogs would sound as an album would work nearly as well if it was more technical.
And it's sort of the sound of this persona that was such a big commercial and cultural thing for his career falling apart, right? So
Yeah.
he's still dressing like Ziggy, but he's not Ziggy,
Yeah,
quote unquote.
his
He looks
character,
exactly like Ziggy.
He looks like Ziggy with an eye patch.
Yeah.
His character at this time for the Diamond Dogs album, he only had this character for one album, was Halloween Jack. So like that line in Diamond Dogs, Halloween Jack is a real cool cat. He lives on the top of Manhattan Chase. That was the most concept album-y part that remained, was him talking about his character in this. He goes from, like Alien Messiah with Ziggy to basically just a schlup trying to navigate a dystopian hellscape.
Ziggy with an eye patch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ziggy with an eye patch. But the Messiah part is dead.
Yeah.
There's no hoping for saving, even if it's saving through self-immolation. And
there's no rock and roll suicide on Diamond Dogs.
Yeah.
So do you think it is the same character with an eye patch? Was that intentional, or was it just kind of lazy?
It was him running out of ideas, kind of, to some degree, but it works in the end.
It's a goodbye to glam, but it still is very glam. And we've kind of been heaping faint praise on his guitar playing, but the riff in Rebel Rebel is one of the best riffs in the whole catalog. It's ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely classic. Just a great hard rock riff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diamond Dogs, kind of going track by track some, even though we're kind of talking about these as a unit. Diamond Dogs, like that thing at the beginning where it sounds like it's a live album because there's the cheering crowd. What he's saying at the beginning is, this ain't rock and roll, this is genocide, which is the whole vibe for Diamond Dogs.
Yes.
This is technically the first song on the album. It's track 2, but like the first track is like tape and synthesizer noise over a little poem type thing that uses the word peopleoids.
Is this the era where he got shit for people thinking he was a fascist?
No,
Almost.
we're getting to that.
Almost.
We're gonna close by talking about that. But we're getting to that. Like, this was the point too where he was starting to do the unhealthy lifestyle thing that led to people thinking he was a fascist, and that kind of broke his brain. Like living on a diet of cocaine, hot peppers, and milk, because he thought witches were trying to steal his bodily fluids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't want witches stealing your bodily fluid.
Like his mind is breaking apart on this side, basically, and you can really tell with these two songs. Yeah.
Describing music as fractured, I feel like, is a total critical crutch at this point. But this side feels like the fracturing of the Bowie persona, and also his brain is literally just breaking.
Yeah.
For 2.5 years.
Yeah. But yeah, Diamond Dogs, good, like hard rocker. Yeah, kind of like the arena rock song of the whole album. Just, fun song.
I think it kind of stuck out because it definitely had a live album production, but I think opening with it was a good move.
Yeah.
And then, Rebel Rebel, I think, was just an absolute classic. I don't have too much to say about that one.
Yeah.
Except, glad I could hear it again.
Yeah, great song, good pride song, like a gender-bending love song.
Yeah.
It's,
I will say one thing that stuck out to me that really hasn't before. The ending of both of those songs feels so unintentional. There's not a fade out. They don't really end. They just go, and you're like, oh, that's the end of the track.
Yeah. I think earlier Bowie had relied a lot on Mick Ronson solos too.
Yes, you fade those out. Yep.
That's
absolutely
not a tool anymore. Yeah, like a lot of musicians from this point on, Bowie will go back to working with. He never worked with anyone from the Spiders ever again.
Yep.
Which is sad. But yeah, now we're going to go to the most abrupt shift on the whole album with Young Americans.
Yeah, that was definitely a big vibe shift, but it matched with the rest of the songs going forward, and I think it would have matched with Diamond Dogs if they were paired together. I think I would have opened with Rebel Rebel if I was compiling this.
I would have still probably done Diamond Dogs to Rebel Rebel, but I think I would have done Rebel Rebel to Fame to Young Americans. I think there's a reason why they did it that way, and we'll get to it when we talk about Fame. But yeah, like I felt like all of a sudden there's a full horn section and backup singers.
Luther Vandross among them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing I also noted is the song I felt kind of sounded ahead of its time. It reminded me more of like the art punk stuff that you showed me that was coming out like directly after this, basically.
Oh yeah, like with Talking Heads and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the gospel parts, and I also put that in my notes. I really like the gospel influence.
And starting with this song, the next 3 songs have another band starting to come together.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really solidify until the last song on the album, which we'll talk about a little more. But like at this point, the guitars are handled by Bowie himself, but also by Earl Slick and Carlos Alomar. And both Slick and Alomar continued to work with Bowie throughout his life. Like, a way you can tell if like a 90s or aughts Bowie album is going to be good is if it has either Slick, Alomar, or both.
You mentioned how much cleaner these tracks sound. The Alomar guitar sound is clean, a lot of phase shifter. It's funky, but not. It's not funk. It's like funk adjacent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And these were Americans that he was working with
Yes.
a lot of the time too. Like he was gathering blues and funk people from like Philadelphia, which is why I keep saying Philly soul. Carlos Alomar, Black Puerto Rican from Philadelphia,
Right.
who just became like a lifelong collaborator who he hired for his American music sounding album and just really clicked with.
Yep.
I'm actually familiar with Earl Slick because he's endorsed by the Guitar Fetish website where I buy a lot of guitar parts from, and that's all I have to say about that. I just think it's funny.
Of the 2 guitar players, he's more of the gearhead, so it makes sense that he's on that.
Yeah, he does like all of their demonstration videos and stuff, so I've actually
Yeah.
heard him just playing guitar licks and stuff for like pickups I wanted to buy.
Yeah.
The piano slide intro on Young Americans is one of my favorite song intros in the whole catalog. And it is a massive shift, but it is kind of a nice, like, it's almost like a whoopee cushion sonically. It's just like, bam, now we're doing soul. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's make things less bleak for just a moment here. Yeah, it's a great song. I love it. I love every song on here, but this one, it's a really good one. For some reason, on the classic rock stations in Omaha for a while, the only Bowie songs they had were Young Americans and Fame. So, like, if you were listening to classic rock radio in Omaha, these would be the Bowie songs that you would be more familiar with.
Interesting. Those aren't the songs that I would have picked for radio. But yeah.
Glam was kind of a niche concern in the States. I mean, it was massive in Britain. You mentioned Starman, the Top of the Pops performance. Like, that was stuff that 12-year-olds were listening to. You didn't have to try to be into glam. It was just there.
Yeah.
And in the States, it was kind of a niche thing. Whereas Young Americans was a relatively popular record here.
Wasn't glam kind of concentrated around New York and America, basically?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a popular thing. I mean, it was a big cultural deal. But the New York Dolls did not sell any records. Like,
No.
they weren't popular.
And then the 80s came along.
Oh, yes.
Glam metal
They
musicians
caught
came along.
Yeah.
There's a great, you can find it anywhere you find your videos, but Bowie has a couple of performances in an interview on Soul Train in this era. Highly worth watching.
Yeah.
You know, Bowie would have pulled off the perfect 80s heavy metal record, I bet.
He would have, but he was not interested in
He wouldn't have done
doing that by the 80s. But he could have done it, yeah. Yeah. And then next we have Fame. Fame, I think it was put in this order because by Fame, the drummer they're working with wasn't a studio drummer anymore, but was the drummer that would then stay with Bowie through from 1975 here until 1980. And so I think this is kind of the band coming together at this point. The guitar on Fame is amazing.
Yes.
That is 4 guitars. That's Bowie, Slick, Alomar, and John Lennon.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I noticed that John Lennon was on the credits there. Yeah, for me, the funk vibe on it was just infectious. Like, I couldn't... It's one of those songs where you hear it and you just can't help but move to it.
Yeah.
And I think both this one and Golden Years, I think, was the best of his vocal delivery on this entire album.
Yeah.
It just really suited the music on it. Fame was possibly my favorite on this side, maybe even on the whole album. With Golden Years also being up there as well.
Yeah. Fame is my favorite track on the Young Americans album too, by far.
Yeah.
Like I like the album, but yeah, I liked it. It's funny. Like John Lennon was on 2 tracks on that album. This one and a cover of Across the Universe.
Not good.
Yeah, no. The Young Americans album is a great album. It is the album that I listened to the least of his 70s stuff.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Pinups.
Pinups. The cover album is the one I listened to the least. But, like, of original material, it's the one I listened to the least. It's still a great album, and it's, like, when his, like, as he was kind of assembling what would become his backing band through his best run of 5 records, which was Station to Station, Low, Heroes, Lodger, and Scary Monsters, which is, I think, the best run of 5 records any artist has ever had. But
Difficult to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fame is great. I love any tune that is kind of boppy sonically, but then the lyrical material is a little more kind of side-eyed, a little darker. And I love the return of the studio trickery with the pitching down John's voice. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's great. There's a little bit of darkness to Young Americans too. Like at the beginning, there's kind of like a romantic wistfulness to it. But then, do you remember your President Nixon?
Right.
Do you remember the bills you have to pay? Yeah.
And I love that he's kind of cosplaying as an American citizen on that tune too.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like a Randy Newman lyric in that verse. And you're like, you still are not American.
Yeah, and it's like, you're President Nixon.
Yeah.
It's like, I like America, but you can have Nixon.
Yeah.
It's kind of, That's a lot of Young Americans too is like that. It's like a deep love of American like soul music, but deep cynicism about America itself.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the vibe I get from Killing Joke and their lyrics.
Yeah. And then finally, Golden Years. Now, I'm going to preface this with a lot, because this is the track off of his album that was newest when this came out, which was Station to Station, which is one of my favorite Bowie records, but it is controversial for a very good reason. At this point, his mind was pretty much broken and fractured from all the cocaine and everything. And there were a couple things that got people to think he was kind of fascist. One was pretty founded, one was unfounded. Let's start with the unfounded one. There's a picture of him waving out of a car window, and the moment that it catches it, it looks like he was doing a Heil Hitler. He wasn't, he was waving. It was an accident. But the reason why people were ready to believe that was he had previously done an interview with a magazine where he claimed that Adolf Hitler was the first rock star.
Wow, that sounds like Kanye.
Yeah.
This feels like the most sort of I mean, we've been talking about like his sort of proto-punk bona fides up until this. This actually feels the most punk to me, not in the sense of like the good punk, but in the sense of like Johnny Rotten just like needing eyeballs on him, like that side of punk where it's just like, look at me, like this is extremely punk. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I used to be really into drugs, but now I'm into racism.
Yeah.
Oh, I dropped my baby.
Yeah. Well, and then like the rocket, like a positive thing you can say about punk in this era is like a combination of this, and then the racist rant that Eric Clapton gave, endorsing Enoch Powell, is what kind of jump-started the Rock Against Racism festival.
Yeah.
With like the Clash, Stiff Little Fingers, and all that. So, like, there was a degree to which like Bowie's mental breakdown led to rock stars starting to lean back into more positive social messages, which they largely hadn't since the 60s ended.
Yep.
Well, I'll say this about Bowie. It seems like he got cooler and Eric Clapton became more of a dick.
Yeah. Like, Bowie, as he realized what he was saying, this is one of the things that led him to sober himself out and start making more experimental, like, German-style music. Like, he went to Berlin specifically because it was harder to get cocaine there. It was easy to get heroin
Back then.
Yeah,
Yes.
back then. It was easier to get heroin there, so he shouldn't have taken Iggy Pop with him. But
Yeah, there's definitely an era, even leading up to this this kind of micro era where Bowie in interviews is clearly just saying anything that will get people chatting, right?
Yeah.
Even to the point where, like, the interviews about his sexuality earlier, you're like, yes, on the one hand, this is kind of a brave thing, but also it kind of feels you're just like, please write about me.
Yeah.
There's an element of that in there.
Like I'm not saying that he wasn't bisexual, I think he was, but every major relationship he had was with a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's an element of, like, check me out. Isn't this crazy?
I'm
To a
going
lot
to
of
shock
those
you.
interviews from the
Yeah.
era.
Now, I know The Wall was mostly about Roger Waters' personal experience, but his character Pink in his In the Flesh rant, when he went all fascist, I'll bet you that was inspired by that.
I bet it was, yeah. Yeah, like there's a degree to it. Like, a lot of people think, like, The Wall is commenting on, like, fascist street punk type gangs, but I think he was more talking about how, like, the decadent rock star lifestyle of, like, the extremely successful, like, legacy acts relating to, like, far right views.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think he was more he was more talking about Clapton than Screwdriver.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my take on it as well. Is that
Golden Years is my favorite track on this side for sure. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
It's a great song. It's used very well in A Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
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 yeah, both those songs, Fame and Golden Years, I thought were particularly well done, and I really liked the funk influence on both those.
Yeah. And then by Golden Years, he had the bass player that he would then use through the Scary Monsters album, and, like, all the musicians that he was working with at this point, he would work again with later to some degree or another. This was, even though this is when he was in the midst of a breakdown, when he recovered from the breakdown and a lot of the same people were still around him, it kind of gave him the people who he could continue to collaborate with. Well, like the way he broke up the Spiders from Mars without them knowing he was going to break them up at the end of what ended up being their last live show, really left a lot of bad blood and led to them never working together again. And so that, like, at this point, I don't know, there's a point where he started to at least learn to play nice to people, learn to play nice with people better.
You know, I was telling you right before we got this started, I was reading and watching several interviews from David Byrne and Tina Weymouth about and Chris Franz about their situation, and it sounds like David Byrne also had a very similar realization later on in his career, because it sounds like they don't have a lot of nice things to say about him, and he's more or less, like, moved on to about it, and he's kind of like, yeah, I was kind of a controlling dick, wasn't I?
Yeah. When they were promoting Stop Making Sense by doing interviews together and sitting on the same couch and, like, laughing together, it felt so weird to me.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I was going through posts from fans of Talking Heads going back, like, about 10 years, and you could see the shift right at that moment where everybody was surprised that was even happening, and I could see, based on some of the interview questions and answers that I saw, why that was.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, the fact that when they were doing the Stop Making Sense promotion, like, people were asking them about, like, the previous interview stuff in kind of, like, a backhanded way, and, like, them acting like they'd moved on beyond it. It's like, whoa, this is huge. Too bad they're probably too old to want to do a reunion tour now.
Yeah, and from what I gather, he was pretty much, David's pretty much just completely moved on from that, so.
Yeah, and then they kind of all have, like, Jerry will never be as successful doing his solo stuff, but I think he likes doing it.
Yeah.
I bet they're all at the point in their careers where they don't have to be particularly successful.
No, like, they can just get some more Stop Making Sense royalties every time they have a medical bill. And then, like, Tina and Chris then have, like, Tom Tom Club, and have always had Tom Tom Club, and Genius of Love they like will market it out to be used in a movie or a TV show every now and again, I think, and then are set for life at that point. So yeah.
I mean, the Mariah Carey royalties alone have to be setting them up for life, right?
Yeah.
It's just like Lemmy said that he made more off of Mama, I'm Coming Home from Ozzy than he made off the entire Motorhead catalog.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting point because this exact compilation we've just listened to was, when it was released, by far the biggest selling Bowie record in the States. And is, I think, to date, his only platinum record in this country. He has platinum albums, studio albums in the UK, where he's from. In the States, if you found a Bowie record on your aunt's shelf or your buddy's shelf, it was almost certainly this compilation.
Yeah.
So you're glossing over a lot of the weirder parts, right? So there's no real ballads on this
Yeah.
record, which is a big part of his catalog.
Yeah.
The most directly like space story songs, not on this record really.
Yeah. Which is interesting, like Changes 2. I have Changes 2, and we'll do it next season at some point. It does kind of go to fill in those gaps, and it's less consistent as a result. It's still good. But it's like, it'll have like the stuff that he did since 1976, and then like a ballad or a weird song.
It
from
does
his
not
early
flow like
period.
this.
Yeah. But, but it's good because it has Ashes to Ashes.
Right.
And
Right.
DJ, and bunch of great Sound and Vision, a bunch of great songs on it. Not Heroes, which is weird. Really weird that it doesn't have Heroes.
Yeah, I mean, Heroes. It's not quite a pop song, is it?
No.
It's like pop adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think Heroes is the best song he ever did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with hindsight, you can think of it as this massive cultural totem, uses in various movies, all sorts of stuff. But I'm not sure that it was like a hit in comparison with like how big a hit Starman was in Britain, for example. I mean, you could run down the list. A lot of his pop singles are not what are considered the best tunes now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Although Ashes to Ashes was a massive hit in both the States.
And that's one of the top ones.
Yeah, that's one of his best ones. Yeah.
I mean, Scary Monsters, I think you and I have discussed this. Scary Monsters is the perfect blend of arty, freaky, and pop sensibilities, and he was rewarded kind of on both halves.
Yeah.
Critically beloved, big hit. That's a hard road to balance, and he did it on that one for sure.
Yeah. There was a long time when Scary Monsters was his last great album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was, 1980. So we will talk about Bowie from like 1977 to 1980 when we do Changes too. But yeah, at some point too, maybe we'll, like in future seasons, we'll do some of the studio albums. I did end up breaking down and buying Station to Station on vinyl, so we could do that. Or I can just bring in one of my mini CDs. CDs! We haven't done that before on this. We have.
We definitely didn't do that for Elf.
Yeah.
I think that is the only CD we've done so far, though.
So far, right? Yeah. We'll do more. But yeah, this was Changes 1 Bowie. I think this is one of the best compilation albums ever made, just because it's not trying to be comprehensive, it's trying to tell a very particular story about the artist, and succeeding wildly at that.
Yeah, it's, as its own album, I think it can stand as its own album, and I think a lot of compilations don't take that into account. A lot of compilations are just, cynical record cash grabs, or they don't really put any thought into the order besides how much did that single sell. So I always like it when I hear that a compilation has had some thought put into it beyond one of our hits, because I mean, obviously one of your first thoughts is we got to put some hits on it, but I think your second thought should be what are some things that should be appreciated more, that should also be on it between the hits,
Yeah. And like when this album came out, the songs on it that were already hits were Space Oddity, Gene Genie, and I think Golden Years.
Yeah, I think the Young Americans tunes were popular. I don't know if they were like smashes, but they were popular.
Yeah, they were popular, but yeah, like this was when it was finally starting to gain real momentum in the States. Because, like, he had a very hard time breaking through in the States until, like, Young Americans, he was starting to get, like, buzz, and then Station to Station is when he got huge.
Absolutely.
Then put out this compilation that ended up outselling Station to Station in the States, yeah.
Yeah, I think the mark for me, I have strong feelings about compilations. The mark for me of any good compilation is if it reframes a catalog, and this one does for sure. Other high watermarks on that, there's a Sly and the Family Stone compilation that takes out all the kind of social commentary, and it's just party hits, party hits, party hits. And that totally reframes that band. I don't like the Eagles very much, but that Greatest Hits compilation totally reframes the catalog. It says, hey, we're easy listening fellas, and that you scrub all the rough edges off, right?
Yeah.
And this does a similar thing where you're taking off all the crazy ballads. You're taking off, the 7-minute tunes that are fan favorites, but are never going to be hits.
Yeah,
and it also doesn't include Starman, Life on Mars, which are big tunes, but just don't, like you said, tell the story they're trying to tell here.
Yeah. Like, the song from Man Who Sold the World that was his most popular until Nirvana covered the title track, like the one that he, like, played in his live set the most was called Width of a Circle.
Yep.
It was a hard rocker song. It would have, like, fit mood-wise on this, but it's also 8 minutes long and a little bit inaccessible as a result.
Right. Like, Word on a Wing is my favorite song, but does it belong on any sort of compilation, let alone something that's ostensibly the hits? Of course not.
No, yeah. Well, then my favorite song off of Station to Station is the title track, the
So
first
good.
one,
Ugh.
which opens with, like, a good solid 2 or 3 minutes of synthesizer, white noise, and tape feedback.
Yep.
Until some piano chords start coming in, and then, yeah, that's an amazing song. That's when just to talk about that song, I think we should do Station to Station, since I do have it on vinyl.
It's interesting. I used to buy a lot more compilations back in the day, like when I was CD collecting, because there are some bands where it's just like, oh, this 2 CD Ultimate Collection will be fine. I don't need to buy 8 albums from them. And it seems now with streaming, a lot of that's kind of going away, because you don't need to listen to something the record company put together. You can find something that a fan put together, something that fits your mood better, or you can even make your own compilations these days. Although you already do that with your iPod.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, what's interesting too is I'm glad I got into Bowie the way I did by hearing a friend say Hunky Dory was about the X-Men. And by the way, it wasn't. Hunky Dory came out in 71, which the X-Men started in 63, okay. But no one gave a shit about the X-Men until 1975 when, like, Chris Claremont took over and the popular characters, like Wolverine, Storm, and Nightcrawler were introduced. So, like, it was in no way about the X-Men. It just, you can make it fit if you really want it to. Which also means that Queen Bitch in no way could be about the Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine love triangle, because Wolverine didn't exist yet. But yeah, no, I'm glad I started with the albums and then discovered the compilation later. But, like, Talking Heads were opposite for me. I bought a compilation and then really loved some moments off of it, but didn't think it flowed right, and started, like, checking out the albums themselves and wished I'd started with the albums. And then I got the live albums, and it was like, I should have started with the live albums and then worked my way from there, because I ended up, like, getting rid of the compilation because it left off too many key moments. It didn't tell a cohesive story as it was. It was more like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, rather than, like, the thematic unity you get with this.
Yeah.
And so, like, I probably would have gotten a lot more into Talking Heads sooner if I would have either started with the proper album or started with the live albums. So there's times when it's good to buy a compilation, but sometimes you have to do so much homework to know when to that it's when it's just start listening.
Yeah, when it's an actual compilation, not a cynical cash grab. Yeah, and for me, I'm glad when you showed me Talking Heads, you started with Stop Making Sense and the name of this band is Talking Heads, because those were both fantastic introductions to the band, I'd say.
Yeah. I think the versions of the songs off of Speaking in Tongues that are on Stop Making Sense are better than the studio songs on Speaking in Tongues. So,
When I got the Molly Hatchet double live album, and I like the songs off that more than on their studio albums. So a lot of times live albums can be the best way to hear the songs. And for some reason, I didn't think that when I was younger. Maybe I just heard a lot of bad live albums, but there's also a lot of great live albums.
Yeah.
Dave, are you familiar with the David Live album from '74?
Yeah, I do have that one.
Yeah, it's a I don't know if it's great. It's very good.
Yeah.
And there was actually a big single release on it. There was a hit in Britain, not included here. Another way to tell a story. Do you like that record?
Oh yeah, I do. I don't think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Knock on Wood was a good choice for a single.
Yes.
I don't like the way he tried to soul up Rebel Rebel in that area.
It's odd.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
It's odd.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It's better as like a vulnerable rough punk song than it is as a soulful love song.
And then I want to make you pick your favorite child. There's sort of 4 or 5 kind of Bowies represented on Changes One. You've got the heavy glam rock tunes.
Yes.
You've got the kind of funk adjacent tunes, right?
Yes.
You've got a ballad. I'm gonna call Change the Ballad. It's like a peppy ballad.
Yeah.
And then you've got the lightly folky, lightly psychedelic promotional novelty of Space Oddity.
Yes. Which is my favorite. As it's presented on this one, I like the Ziggy Stardust glam era the most.
Yeah.
As a whole, when I listen to all these records, my favorite of the records that are released in this stretch is Station to Station.
Yeah, same.
And like Golden Years is the best song probably off of Station to Station. It was definitely the best choice for a single, even though I like I think I like the title track a little more. But yeah, like as this is presented, the glam stuff is what really stands out and really sells the
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
record. As someone who is less familiar with all of this, Steve, which particular era, you can, like, even as someone who's not as familiar, you can kind of tell it's broken into eras. Which era speaks to you the most?
It's funny because I would have assumed going into this that Space Odyssey and Rebel Rebel would probably be my 2 favorites on this, but it ended up being the funk tracks on side B that ended up being some of my favorites.
Yeah, like the 2 closers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I love his hard rock material as well that was on this, but that was the stuff that really like got me moving in my chair, you know?
I think the funkiest details of those arrangements to me is the willingness to just keep vamping, right?
Yeah.
And there's not a crazy guitar solo. There's not like a fractured piano thing like he might have tried on Aladdin Sane. He just lets the band groove for like 90 seconds, which if you're trying to get on the radio is probably quote unquote too long, but it really works.
Yeah, and I think, and I like the glam stuff, the Ziggy Stardust stuff. It's a really tight, smaller band. Like it's a 4-piece with the occasional guest keyboard player or guest saxophone player, filling in live for stuff that Bowie did in the studio. Well, the later stuff is a very, very large ensemble with lots of backup singers, lots of different percussion, full horns, strings, although not really on these particular tracks, but in this era he did work a lot with string sections too.
Yeah, it might also depend on my particular mood as well. Maybe I'm just more inclined to the funk tracks right now, and there'd be times where I'm more inclined to the harder rock tracks. Probably depends on what I'm doing and what my mood is going to be, but as far as like just sitting down and chilling, those later tracks I think were the highlight for me.
Yeah.
Dave, I think that's a really good point about the string arrangements. You get them in changes on this compilation, but not really so much on the other tracks, and that's kind of a through line on a lot of Bowie records. There's strings all over Ziggy Stardust, which if you're thinking, oh, it's this glammy rock record, you wouldn't necessarily think, but it's a massive element of those tunes.
Yeah.
Not represented by the 2 that are picked here, right?
No.
There's not a strong acoustic guitar element on most of these tunes.
Yeah. Space
And that's
Oddity,
a strong element of most of Bowie's catalog, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Space Oddity and Ziggy are the only really... Well, and John, I'm Only Dancing, but, like, it's not...
I feel like the acoustic is kind of buried on Ziggy, you know?
Yeah. It's beneath... Like, the acoustic was basically just auxiliary percussion on that song.
Yes. Is there a
Yeah.
tune that you feel was a big miss on here?
I think everything that they chose to put on here worked on the album as a whole.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anything I felt shouldn't have been on there.
Yeah. There are albums that I love, or songs that I love from all these albums that didn't make it, but I have those albums. You know,
Right.
like, I love Queen Bitch. I love Hang On to Yourself. I love the 3-part suite on Diamond Dogs, the Candidate Sweet Thing Candidate Reprise,
Yep.
which is like 7 minutes long and would not have fit on here at all. But
Yeah, it's funny. If I were to read this and see that Starman is not on here, I would get like nearly mad. But listening to it, you do not miss it, which is so wild.
yeah, I think you can do a whole lot worse for intros to David Bowie.
Yes. I brought my Ryko disc cassette, which is a reissue of Changes Bowie. It compiles the two compilations, 1 and 2, together, and adds a truly atrocious remix of Fame.
The 1991 with
Truly bad. Listen to it and cringe.
As a connoisseur of bad music, I would probably enjoy listening
You need to
it.
listen to this.
Maybe.
It's a more complete track list, and it's not as good.
Yeah,
It doesn't work as well.
maybe after season 2, when we do changes to Bowie, and then season 3, we listen to the cassette. Take a look at that.
Yeah,
cassette.
please.
Yeah, you have a cassette player, right, Steve? Somewhere in here? Because I don't have one at home or in my car or anything anymore.
I don't know, but if we need one, we can go to Goodwill. I have Operation Mindcrime on cassette, so I think that's going to be how we're going to listen to it.
Oh, that is a weird way to break the side 1 and side 2.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it ends with Young Americans, and then instead of like starting the next one with Fame, it does the bad 1990 version. Then Golden Years. Then the shorter single version of Heroes.
Yep.
And then some of the songs from Changes too, but not all of them. And then stuff from his 80s stuff, which wasn't on Changes too because it wasn't out yet.
Yep.
Which I like all the 80s songs they have on there, even the one that's on an album I don't like. I like Blue Jean. I don't like the Tonight album.
Right.
Yeah.
The Blue Jean's good.
Yeah.
Even Bowie's appearance here, like you can tell the different eras just by looking at him.
Yeah.
And it's a little more retrospective, right? Because by 1990, his commercial appeal had dimmed considerably.
Yeah, like Tonight was not the hit they thought it was going to
No.
be.
No.
And his career went really downhill until for
Yeah,
a while.
I
Like, it
love-
never fully recovered.
I
but, yeah.
love Changes 1 as a document. With hindsight, you can say, here's kind of the last moment before he goes full art pop, full Enofication, full Berlin, whatever you want to call that stuff.
Yeah.
That's about to come down. You can see that with hindsight. But as a product, it is just a fascinating little glimpse. The cover photo is great. It's contemporary to 76-ish, right?
Yeah.
He looks like he could be in Weimar, Germany.
Yeah.
yeah.
But most of the tunes are him in like the red mullet, you know.
Yeah.
It's a brief glimpse of the last, I guess, what would it be, 6-7 years at that point.
Yeah. And it tells a story of it
Exactly.
while leaving out the weirder or slower details.
Yep.
Like it doesn't give a complete picture, but it paints a compelling picture.
Yes.
And I think that is more important for a compilation than to be some kind of like archive,
Right.
basically.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts?
I thought it was a slamming record, and I'm looking forward to listening to more Bow.
All right. And we won't do our pluggables because it's in the pre-recorded part. But Colby, do you have anything to plug? Like your bands?
Yeah, I play in 2 groups, both a little different from each other. Boker Tove is a rock band. Our second album is coming out in November. Check that out. Wedding is kind of I haven't plugged Wedding before. I have to figure out how to plug Wedding. Wedding is the project of Anna Schulte, who's an incredible singer-songwriter, and I helped put together a backing band for it to help fill in some of the arrangements. We sound good as hell. Just to toot my own horn a little bit, we're very good. So check us out.
Link in the description.
All right. We were side 1, side B, and this was Changes 1 Bowie. Catch you on the flip side.
Wow.
Hey, thanks for staying tuned to the end of the podcast. Now, check out our song, Your Personal Brand is Who You Pretend to Be, taken from our live double bootleg album, Live, Laugh, Love the Alliterates, 2022 to 2024. Now available on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, Deezer, and more.
Crackdown's awesome! I think Crackdown's pretty good. That's right, Crack. This song's literary. It's not a science fiction out there.
Side 1, Side B is a Floof Goof Studios production. Check us out on the interwebs by going to my website, killrockmusic.com. That's KILRAVOCK music.com. And there's a tab for Side 1, Side B. And additionally, you can check out me and Dave's projects, The Alliterates and Lucid Fugue, respectively. You can also check us out on Instagram at KillRockMusicSWS and Dave_Diction. Thank you.
Waka waka.
Let's shut the fuck up.
We're gonna choke you.
My mouth is on fire.
Let me show you how to jam.
Wrong.
Flip, flip, flip.
All right.
I hate the Holocaust too.
I hate that you made me think of that.